I just see myself as like an octopus with many tentacles.
Yeah. Okay, hi everyone. This is another special one. We have here Mathilda today, who is a cybersecurity strategist consultant. Is that correct?
Yes.
She has been working for the past 2 years in cyber strategy, and to be completely honest, I actually have no idea what she does. I don't know anything about cyber strategy. So I thought today would be a great opportunity for me to learn and for you to learn as well. Because as we know, there are so many fields in the world of cybersecurity. And I think it's very important to put more light on these different fields. I would like to welcome here Mathilda today to give us a bit more insights on cyber strategy.
Yes.
So Mathilda, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Today is a special day because we're in training here with work, so it's a bit of a different environment. But I'm happy to be here and to be featured on a podcast. That's a first.
Yes, well, we're very happy to have you. It was a very tiring day today for the training, but I'm glad now that we can just sit down here, kind of relax and have a talk. And also, I'm very excited to get more information about what you do because
it's a bit abstract.
But also, I heard recently from one of my colleagues that said Mathilda's a badass. She's so good at what she does. And I was like, damn
Really?
right she is.
Thank you.
And then I was like, fuck, what does she do? So,
Yes.
you've worked as a cyber strategist for 2 years.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit what it is? What is cyber strategy?
Okay, so cyber strategy is a very umbrella term for a lot of activities that we do. Within this is a very broad spectrum, and we specialize in different areas. So we have a subcluster within my team that is very focused on everything that is governance related. So how you set up your cybersecurity infrastructure within your company, within your IT department. And we also do risk management, so understanding what is cyber risk, where they're located, and how to mitigate them. My specialty is really around the ISO 27001 framework, which is basically something that was conceived to give the most englobing framework of helping to set up cybersecurity in a company. If I can give like a highlight of what we do, is basically companies come to us and ask us to understand where they're at in their cybersecurity and how to get there, like how to get to another point with increased maturity. Now, companies can come with different motivations. They can come with a European compliance driven by the EU, just an ambition from their leadership that are very into information security, so they want to evolve in that aspect. And like those are usually the two main drivers there, or local compliance to these different elements, or they need help because they're a bit lost, because they are trying something but it's not working out the way they want to because they're lacking the guidance. So they come to us to make an assessment and to make a game plan on how they can go somewhere.
Okay. Do you have kind of an example of your day-to-day life?
The ISO standard is something that you get you get a certification for. So my job, like serving this cluster of activities, is to set up an ISMS, which is basically the system you need to put in place to make sure that you're actually doing cybersecurity and doing it right.
What is the ISMS?
So I forgot to say that.
No.
It's an information security management system. So basically, it's a framework where you have some documentation and some controls that need to be implemented within your activities to ensure that you're having cybersecurity to a right standard. So I am a person within the company that ensures that everything gets done and everything gets resolved based on the audits, what is being found, what are projects that we need to implement, And there's the whole risk management aspect as well. We create a frame. So what is the organization? What do they need to protect? What are the processes? Who are the resources? What is the communication you need to have? What is the awareness you need to have? What are the controls you have to put in place in order to secure your crown jewels, basically? What is this crown jewel? It can be a process, it can be an asset, it can be a software, it can be anything. And then we say, okay, what are the risks that are applied to it? And based on these risks, so we do a lot of risk assessments, everything is risk-based. Once we have those risks defined, then we come up with the mitigation strategies, and those drive the inclusion of controls. So let's say you are you want to protect a system, and the risk is that someone can hack through it, basically. So what controls you need to put in place? You need to have yearly pen testing to see like how is it secure. You need to make sure that you have the right firewalls that are up against that and they're configured correctly. You need to make sure that the people that have access to that asset are correct. So it also drives the inclusion of all of your identity and access management framework. And we put this basically machine on top of it that controls all of that. To do that, you need to understand like how the company is set up, how it operates, what they currently do, what is left there to do, and to give them the best practices of what they should be doing.
Right. That must take a long time. How long does it take to do that assessment?
It really depends on how we are approaching the project. If we do a current just a current state assessment, it can take. It's basically based on the availability of the people in the company, but it takes maybe 5 to 10 2-hour sessions.
Oh, okay.
But it's not like, it can be much broader, but it's usually like in companies, the IT team is not 70 people and you don't need to interview 70 people. So what we do, we prepare questions up front, we send them up front so they know what we're going to ask, but usually the infrastructure team can just reply to many questions all at once, so that it makes our job a bit easier.
So it's like an audit, basically.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
Like we also come a lot with the simple things like, how is your password management? As simple as that, and sometimes it's just like it's lacking. Already that is lacking.
Okay. Oh, so it's very broad. It's very complete. Then it
Yes.
goes into a lot of different aspects of the security of a company.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know like how familiar the audience is with NIS2, but NIS2 is basically the European directive saying that you need to have a huge amount of controls in terms of cybersecurity for a set of companies that are considered either basic, important, or essential to the functioning of the country. So now a lot of companies that didn't really care about cybersecurity like open their eyes wide, because they're actually essential to the functioning of the country, and they need to make sure that they're secure. And if they don't, then the government is going to fine them. So I also do these assessments in regards to the NIS2 requirements.
I actually had a question about that. How does GDPR policies impact the way that companies implement cybersecurity in their business?
So privacy is a completely different aspect. Like we do have a privacy team, so that really focus on GDPR requirements and ensuring that data is processed correctly. From my cybersecurity strategy point of view, what we do is that we're checking if they're considering GDPR, if they know what that data they process, how it's being safeguarded differently. But per se, I do not check like whether they're GDPR compliant, because it's another because this is like a very law based. I'm doing it more from a other standpoint. But in all of the controls, like either from the NIS2 directive, so the equivalent that the Belgium has come up with a framework is called Cyber Fundamentals, or CYFUN, making it a bit cooler, you know.
Yeah.
And ISO is there is a chapter about data privacy, ensuring that data is not available to anyone at any time, that everything that has to do with PII, so personally identifiable information, is treated differently, with more care, with added layers. All of the data retention policies, the data utilization, there are also controls per se. So there is a big data like aspect to the different frameworks, but I don't look into GDPR specifically.
Yeah, you're more specialized in the ISO and NIS2 frameworks?
Yeah.
Are they called frameworks?
NIS2 is a directive, and it's going to be translated into a law I think in 2025.
Okay.
And ISO is a framework, yes. Yeah. It's a framework at the same, like, as NIST. There's also, like, not NIS, but ANST. There's TSACs, but this is very specific to the automotive industry.
Okay.
There are different, like, there are different frameworks that do exist, but ISO, in my opinion, is the most overarching one, because it's also in combining elements from NIST, for example.
Okay.
It's very, very, very wide in its in its considerations.
I see. Okay, thank you for this big introduction.
Yes.
No, it's very good. It's very interesting because it's a lot of things that I never work with in my day-to-day life, and I have I mean, I've heard about it, but I have no idea what any of those are. And I know about NIS and I know about ISO, but I really don't work with that very often.
No, because what you do as an ethical hacker, you do like one of the 92 controls that I oversee. Basically.
Exactly. From my understanding, I believe you don't really have a background in tech.
At all, not at all.
Yeah. So what did you study exactly at university?
So I have a atypical background.
Okay.
So at university, I did a bachelor in international business, and I did a specialization in entrepreneurship, because at the time my family had a business and I wanted to eventually myself be part of that business or
take
my
over.
Own business. Yes. But then I got a bit like fascinated by the entrepreneurship aspect of things. So creating something from scratch in a company, which is almost the same as entrepreneurship. It's just to have a layer of safety, actually. But that's what I wanted. Like, I really liked that. And then in my master's, I kept the same track of international business, and I did a specialization in strategy and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I liked most in my master's actually was everything about organizational learning, transitioning, understanding things. Like, I had a very much focus on marketing, but consumer behavior, and all of actually the digital part of marketing. So I always was a bit in that technology aspect of things, because we did a lot of like the data analytics and this and that, but you need to have so many tools to do it. So I was a bit in IT, but also my family, like my father works in IT, so it was always in IT on the background. And I ended up in cyber a bit by accident.
Okay.
I like to take chaos and putting in it order, and this is what ISO does. And it's just like, there's some good, some bad. It's just putting it all into a frame so that it's manageable, and for everyone to have visibility on what they need to do and how they need to do it.
Is it expensive for companies to do an ISO assessment?
Yes, it is, because it's not only just making the assessment and putting it into practice, it's all of the controls as well.
But wouldn't that maybe restrain a company from doing these assessments? Is it mandatory? If the price is so high, maybe some companies won't feel like it's within their budget to perform these assessments. Would they get in trouble?
Well, an ISO certification, you're always free to do it if you want to. There's no legal obligation to do it, but now we do have the laws backing it up. And so that is a cost that has to happen, unfortunately. But you can do that in different ways, different amplitudes, because an ISMS can be put or an ISO can be only for a specific item. For example, you see like my key process is this factory in Belgium, and this is the one I want to secure the most. And you can only certify this. So the scope with the scale will be much smaller, and it can be more affordable. The opportunity to get more business actually outweighs the cost of this assessment and running the ISMS and assessing it.
They see it as an investment, basically.
Yes, there's actually a return on investment on this.
Okay.
Because let's say you're a factory, your suppliers or your customers are like, I'm only gonna buy your product if I'm sure that the information that I feed you is not gonna get leaked somewhere. And if you have that, a confidence, like my trust in your ability to fulfill my request is higher, so you can get more potential clients.
Considering your background, how did you end up in cybersecurity then?
Yeah, so that's is it a funny story? I don't think so, but my friend...
We're here for the story.
My friend at university, basically, she wanted to do an internship with her thesis. She wanted to attend an event that organized. It was a technology masterclass. And she asked me to tag along because she didn't want to go alone. I'm like, sure, because it seems interesting. And, I'm also slowly wrapping up my studies, so why not? I attended the things, it was interesting. And then the day later, a recruiter called me, are you interested? Is it are you interested in the company? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And I kept a very much open mind. And I made it clear that I wanted to work in strategy, doing strategies. But since my studies were also very broad, I didn't have a topic in mind. And
did you end up taking her spot then, or
no, she actually got hired.
Okay. I thought that was the juice.
But actually she got hired, but she got hired in a completely different branch. Yeah. So, and I ended up being in a because I wanted to do strategy. She didn't want to do exactly the same. And
how did you know you wanted to do strategy? How did you know what it was? Did they present that during the event that you attended?
No. It's just I'm someone that always knew not what I didn't want to do, and then the further I went in my journey, the more precisely I knew what I wanted to do. And what I like is really planning, telling people what to do. It's a bit weird things, but using my expertise to guide people, to advise them. Yeah. So I knew that I wanted to move into an advisory position, so in consultancy, not necessarily in a Big Four, because there's not only a Big Four that does consulting. Yeah. But I knew that's where I wanted to go, and actually marketing started really to disgust me at some point, because my studies were very much focused on influencer marketing and social media marketing.
Oh yeah.
That type of marketing. And I was always a corporate marketing girly, with the numbers, with companies doing marketing to each other. So I didn't like that. So I really started shifting my focus into strategies a little bit. In the beginning it was more product strategies, I want to bring this on the market, how do I do it, what do I know, what all of these things. But I always like having game plans. I always like structuring things. I always I'm a go-getter, so if I have a goal, I'll do everything to get to that goal, and strategy is that. And I just knew that this is what I wanted to do, but how and where I wasn't sure yet. And I actually interviewed with one of our directors to do cybersecurity awareness. And I was like, oh, that's actually a super cool thing, because it's doing marketing, but in a much different way, with more impact, less numbers, more real stuff. And on the side, I would then also be doing strategy on the cyber side, but I was also very interested into the cyber awareness. Behavioral change is the most difficult to achieve. And you need a lot of nudging, a lot of information. It needs to be englobed in the culture. And to change a company culture is expensive and it takes a lot of time. So it's very difficult to sell. So we do more quick and easy things about how to set up trainings, giving awareness to boards so that they are actually on board into securing their company. So it's a bit of a mix of different things.
But do you get to do certifications in your line of work, or is it not necessary?
Yeah, for example, for ISO, I got the lead implementer certification, so you get to also have opportunities, but more in our field. Now I want to also specialize in the OT environment, so the industrial security.
Oh, yeah.
So there's also a certification there that I want to pursue, but my objective is to be more technical as well. So I'm also able to like pursue more technical certifications, so that now when I go to clients, I understand the environments more than technicalities, and I can be a bit more precise into what I do, because then I need to do a lot of research ahead. When, for example, you go to do risk assessment on VMware, you need to understand what VMware does, where the limitations of VMware. So when I prepare for these sessions, I do a lot of research. Then if I have more technical knowledge, I already have a better base to know where to go, and it will make less research upfront needed, for example. But it's impossible for us to be able to know everything.
Of course.
There's too many technologies, too many setups, too many infrastructures for us to say, I know a bit of everything. I'm trying my hardest, but everyone is so different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can't be a master of everything, you know?
It's not possible. And I'm happy with that position, because generalists are sometimes pointed you're faking knowing stuff, but actually, because you know a lot of things, but not in depth. So it feels like you're a bit of a ole person, and
jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but I'm so much like that as well.
And I think it's so much more interesting, because at least I'm in a conversation I can follow, and then if I have someone that's actually an expert in their field, I have questions, I can deep dive, and I retain the information that I can, obviously, because I cannot know everything. But I think it's what helps triggering more discussions and connecting the dots as well, because technologies do look alike, they function the same way sometimes, and you can connect the dots much more easily. But yeah, I mean, I like this position of being I just see myself as like an octopus with many tentacles.
Yeah. And then you can have a lot of different skills.
Yeah, I think that's very nice.
But it's good in the sense of discussing with clients as well, I feel like, because they will also see how advanced you are or expert you are in your field, that you already know a lot of different areas as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's only beneficial. So haters are gonna hate, you know.
They'll always be there. The cybersecurity world is ever changing, ever growing. They're looking for talent everywhere. I'm like, I'm not here by I was put here somewhere. Like I'm here for a reason, and I'm just gonna get going there. So now I'm like very much convinced into the field that I've chosen for myself in the end, and I just try to be at least better.
That's so
every
nice.
year.
Yeah. No, it's so nice to see that you really found your doing, what makes you thrive and makes you happy, I guess. But do you ever feel sometimes overwhelmed by your job? I guess, I mean, everyone probably does, but is there any point where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore?
Yes, it gets when it's becoming too routine-y sometimes, weirdly enough, because I have a specific project that I'm there on long term, and it's very routine-y, and just like, I need more in this.
Yeah.
But then after that, they put more on your plate, and you're just like,
Never mind. I was happy before.
But it can be overwhelmed, yes. 1, 2, 3, overwhelming, yes, because as I don't have all of the technical background, sometimes I'm like, people are having a conversation, and I'm like, I'm not sure I understand everything, and I'm supposed to deliver something, and I think I have sometimes more of the imposter syndrome.
Oh my God, tell me about it.
I'm like, why am I here? Because I'm like, this is a conversation I cannot follow, and you're in a position where you have to show up.
There's always going to be people that know more than you, and frankly, there's nothing you can really do about it. You kind of have to accept and take it more like as a learning opportunity. But oh my God, when I started, I think, no joke, I'm being completely honest, the first few days after I started like properly working in ethical hacking, I cried like after work because I felt so out of place. I was like, what am I doing here? I don't understand anything they're talking about. They hired me, but they made a mistake. I took someone else's spot. Like,
I'm the personality hire.
yeah, it was just like I spiraled so much. And then at some point I was like, well, you know what? I don't think my manager made a mistake. Like, he has so much experience. He hired me for a reason. And 2 years in now.
And your team is such the hot spot. So if you made the cut, it means you're good.
Yeah, that's also, but that also made me think like, yeah, I belong here. But then I also thought I stole someone else's spot because it was so tight to get in. I felt like I stole someone else's spot. But like when I think of it now, 2 years in, I learned so much. And I mean, anyone in this team came from zero or came from like basic knowledge and grew into it. And I learned so much on the job that I now feel more like I have my spot there for sure.
Yeah.
And I take it more as okay, I have a lot to learn instead of imposter syndrome. But I had that for a long time.
I do still have it sometimes. And then some others, I'm like, I'm fucking good at my job.
But I heard you're boss ass bitch, so...
But I
It's
think
amazing.
it's because I'm a good, like, PM thing. And you need to manage so many things all at once. I think I'm very good at that, and I'm very good at showing up for people and being on top of my things, and that like already gives you a big advantage in what I do.
Yeah. So what are some threats that companies face in a cyber strategy landscape in today's world?
So I think I'm gonna rephrase it a bit, like with risks, because we use a methodology that is actually scenario based. So what scenarios are likely to happen that pose an issue for you? And it's always, first one is always getting the wrong access to the wrong item where you can actually do some fucking around with things. I think that one is always like it's not the threats is not that technically things will fail. It's really the human aspect, things like misconfigured accounts, people like, and sometimes that doesn't have to be intentional. It can be just unintentionally. The phishing aspect of it, like people getting someone to click and then having a ransomware spread, something like that. Those are usually the ones we see recurring in terms of like what companies are a bit afraid of. So that's all of the things with regards to network as well. Like if something gets in, the network is usually never like not strong enough to handle something like that. And I think that identity, network security, and the awareness / phishing are the biggest threats that people see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any advice for business owners that haven't implemented a cyber strategy in their business or company? For people who don't really prioritize that.
If there's some people that are trying to attack you, like being able to detect what's happening on your setup. But if we're talking about entrepreneurs, it's them only, and like you're not gonna go buy a CrowdStrike. I think it's the curse word today, but you're not gonna go buy a Defender license just for one laptop or something like that. Just make sure that you have the right password that are strong enough for the things that are most important to your business, and do not share things to anyone and everyone like that. I think that will already help.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, that's what I see like on the forefront. But as I said, like it's very difficult to say there. But if you're a bigger company and you start seeing it as an issue, make a plan. Make a plan. Like you need. I cannot tell you this is the second thing you need to do. Like, who am I? What do I want to protect? And what am I exposed to? And then from there, you know what you can start putting into practice. Because there's some that network will be the utmost importance. There's some, the phishing would be the utmost importance because people are not very conscious of anything. It really depends.
It depends. What are yeah, it depends. The classic consultant answer.
Yeah, I hate that answer.
Yeah, but you know what? We use it all the time, so.
But the world is gray. It's not black or white. It's a shade. It's a
mix.
A mix of shades of gray.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just gray. It's a mix of shades of gray. Everyone. Okay. What are some challenges that you've faced and overcome so far in your career in the 2 years that you've been working?
I think the imposter syndrome has been one of my greatest ones, like to understand that I'm a girl, I'm a girly girl, and I have my place here in a world of ITers, in a world of men, that I do have my place there, and that I am intelligent enough to be sitting at this table and actually saying my piece. The second thing is making sure that you do not get overwhelmed by this job and like really keeping your mental health in check.
How do you keep your mental health in check?
Hard boundaries. Like I have 2 phones, so my work is separated from my personal life. Like after I close my laptop, my phone is on that laptop and I don't touch it until the next morning. That is like a big thing. Like trying to actually go out, like exercise, change of scenery. I think that's like really have a seizure between like both lives. I think that's very important. And really managing expectations. Like I have this much, I'm giving this much, I cannot do more. And oh yes, I can do more, but not sustainably. Because if you start showing that you can do more, and then it will just keep on asking for more.
They'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and at some point you're just going to explode.
There's a healthy pushing, and then there's the unhealthy pushing. Yeah. And I try to stay in the healthy one.
Okay. That's some good advice out there. Is there anything that you want to add to conclude this little podcast session that we did? Any tips that you want to share? Or
I think because my background has been so different from where I'm at, I think you should not be scared of trying out something completely out of the way you thought you wanted to be in, because I always was very much into I want to do this and I'm gonna go there, but I actually went another direction and I found myself in something that I actually quite enjoy, quite like. So I think that's something you should not be afraid of, and you are who you are, and actually you're more accepted by everyone than what you think, and your perception of yourself is only your perception of yourself, not the one from everyone. I think those are the things people should take in from me today. It's like, don't be afraid to try new things and to go in a direction you didn't think of before.
Because you could end up somewhere even better than what you expected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think it's so badass. I'm sorry, but every day, what do you work in? I'm like, I work in cybersecurity. Wow. I'm like, right? I always get that. It's so cool. And I'm like, at some point, I doubt it. Like to say, I work in marketing and it's so expected of me. Yeah. No, like I work in cybersecurity and people are always surprised by it. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah. And people also don't know what it is.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot more than what they expect. Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, well, thank you so much. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I definitely learned so much about her field and her expertise because, frankly, I did not know much about it. But this was such an interesting conversation, like even just for myself, even if no one was listening. I learned a lot as well from you, and just in general about, and I felt less lonely as well when you talked about feeling like insecure, or when you started the job. What was the word that we were using? Imposter syndrome. Yeah, like I felt that too so much, and I really thought it was because of the field that I was in, but it turns out like in your field as well, and it just feels nice to feel
it happens to the best ones.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming here.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it was very nice.
Yeah, I would love to do that again if you want to.
Yeah, we can do part 2 if people are interested.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we'll stop this here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.